I'm Michael Donnelly. I'm the co-producer of the film. I was the post-production supervisor, whatever that means. And we have Ken Polk and Ethan, who we'll bring up later. But first, I think maybe we should show the film. Not the film, but the trailer.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out. Now, this may sound reckless advice today, but it's the oldest advice that philosophers and religious leaders have passed on. Detach, drop out, find what's within. And I stand by that statement.
If you have identified with your soul when you're alive, death, it's just another moment.
I mean, so you have to find the story. How do you find a story? How do you create a story? As a documentary filmmaker, you ask really good questions, is what you do. You know kind of what you want to try to find, and you go to people. Now, we're dealing with two major icons, Ram Dass and Timothy Leary. They ran off by themselves and just talked and talked and talked and had a really lively conversation. They'd been together for like 35 years as friends and as co-workers and as icons who've been both glorified and vilified in our society. So what do you do? What do you do? You have to assess what you really have. I mean, this is super important as a documentary filmmaker or as an independent filmmaker. You need to look at your material and say, this can go to theaters, this can't go to theaters. This is going to take this to do, that's going to take that to do. You really have to be honest with yourself and know that. And if you're not, you're just going to be chasing the tiger all around. So it's really, really important as post people to get involved earlier on in the production so that you can have your input as to how all of that will come together. I mean, it's no longer like it used to be out from the wall, you know, production throws off to post, post deals with it, they throw off to somebody else. It's an integrated system now, and you have to see that. And in order to do that properly, you have to be able to look at your money and know where to spend it, how to spend it, and try to spend $1 once. Don't finish your movie, get it all locked down, and then run off to a distribution company and say, hey, here's my really cool movie. Because they're going to go, no, you got to rip it all apart again. So you're going to have to go back and spend all those dollars over and over again.
What makes a documentary, especially as a feature, work, both with the visual and the audio, is you have to make it interesting. You have to make it have some life, and there's a fine line you have to ride between being too cute and too cutesy and gimmicky and actually adding to the film.
It was kind of tricky because you really had to respect the longevity of what she had been, you know, and if I just looked at the material, I had some different ideas about where I would probably move things around, but so I had to kind of pick and choose. We only had a limited time, you know, when I was brought on board. So I sort of had to just pick and choose my tasks that I thought would make it the best film it could be, you know, and it was just sort of categorically choosing these little things. And yeah, it's sort of like going into somebody else's closet, you know, time. I mean, when I'm like creatively just working on my own thing, my timelines are a disaster. I mean, I just got things all over and they're just, you know, it's a nightmare. But when you go into somebody else's nightmare and you know, I mean, there was 40 or 50 visual tracks and then audio tracks down, and then so to synthesize all that, and this was all on the Final Cut 7, so it was the legacy Final Cut system, and I think the project file itself was encroaching on 300 megabytes. So try opening that.
But Ethan came on at the end here to actually reconform all these bits and pieces. I mean, we had, some of it was shot 29:9:7, some of it was shot with Handycam, some of it was shot with DSLRs. You know, the DSLR guy said, oh no, it's got to be 24p. So he sends in 24p, and then they knock it back to 29:9:7 because, of course, it's going to television.
You could consider all of it kind of guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, even stuff that was a set interview, they were in areas where they had to grab Leary and Ram Dass at the same time, And so you've got all kinds of noise going on. You got them moving their microphones around. You've got, and you have to grab it when you can. It's documentary filmmaking. So when you start putting all that stuff together, as much as it was with the picture, it's a freaking nightmare. Because when you're talking about making sound for a feature, it's not going over a television broadcast. It's going in a big room with a lot of big speakers, and it's got to be finessed a little bit more.
I'm trying to spend the dollar only once. So you want to take the film as far as you can go, and then you need to stop, and then you need to start again. And if you do that, you will, over the long term, come out with something that's absolutely viable as a commercial entity.
I made the comment to Michael a while back, because obviously we were all working on other projects back and forth in and out of this over the period of years, but I made the comment to Michael a while back. I said, this isn't a job, it's a career. Because I mean, I'd never worked on something that would go away and come back for 3 months and go away and come back 6 months later, and it just went on, and there was always, okay, what's new this time?
The original source footage was way over the place, and also the audio, and it was just, I knew it would be close, but then once, went to Ken and he did his wash, and then I also got to mention Sean Stack at Alpha Dogs, who did our final color correction, just did a brilliant job. It's still maintaining the integrity of the original source footage, but yet making it all flow. And it's just that little bit of spit and polish on the end that just makes it really flow.
Robert Redford came on to the project. Our first temp track was Gay's voice, which is a female voice. So we had a female voice between Ram Dass and Leary. We thought this was an interesting balance, so we wanted to keep that balance. So we tried to chase down Susan Sarandon as one possibility, and we couldn't get calls back. It was just like, I'm too busy, walls and bridges, can't get past this person. So at an art opening with Bob's wife in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where we're from and the film is from, Bob's wife is a painter, so we went out to an art opening, and Gay took a rough cut of the movie and walked up to Bob and said, hey, here's my movie. Will you look at it? I mean, I hate to butt into your wife's show, but would you look at this? And he said, yeah, sure. And within 2 days, he got back and he said, whoa, I love this movie. What can I do for you? Can I get you into Sundance? Can I do this? Can I do the other? And at the time, he was working with Susan Sarandon. I forgot on the what movie it was. And we said, well, we just like that you liked the movie, and why do you want to get in touch with Susan Sarandon, he asked us. We said, well, we were hoping we'd get her to narrate the movie. Can you help us out? He says, I'll do it. Great guy. Literally, fantastic person. So anyway, credits to Gay, credits to these guys. I mean, the work was of gas. It was a lot of work. But we thank you all for being here. Thanks, Woody. Thanks, Wendy. This could be a 2-week seminar, but we're just trying to get through it.